6 different ways to round a number in Excel. We can start here with change some decimal places in the number in order to round the number. Here we don't need to use any function or formula. We're going to use an inner tube of Excel. Then we can move on and make some integers in Excel or whole numbers. That is the opposite of a fractional number. Then we can move on here and actually use some functions in Excel, such as round, round up, round out, or round by a multiple of 5, multiple of 2, multiple of 10, and so on and so on. Let's take a look here to the left, the numbers that I have, and some important thing here. You don't need to use the same spreadsheet that I'm using here. The only thing that you need to have in the spreadsheet is some numbers. If you have numbers, values, money, you are talking about money, you have a currency or percentage or any other type of money or value, okay? You can do this step by step here and round the numbers, round up, round down, transform a fractional number into an integer through a function or through the tools that Excel has. I'm going to show you how can you do it here, okay? The important thing is you need to have numbers. Only that, okay? Simple as that. I have here basically 4 different data set of values, a data set. Value 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then here in the column G, I have the average. So basically, I'm taking the average of all these numbers that I have here. And as you can see, I have a lot of different results. As the first row, the first result, I have 25. That is an integer number, just 25. I don't need to show any decimal places here, just 25, exactly 25. But here down below underneath, I have 32.33333 and so on and so on. So here I have a lot of decimal places. I need to make some changes here. So let's start with the column I, where I have the decimal. And I want to, let's say, take all the numbers that I have here before and convert all these numbers with 2 decimal places. So for example, I know that 25 don't need to use any decimal places because it's just 25. But let's say you want to have more preciseness into our analysis. You can add more decimal places to have more preciseness. Because look, if I take the 25 as an example, 25 like this is different than 25 like this. This one right here has more preciseness because I know that actually what came after the number is 2 decimal places that is equal to 0, so I have more preciseness that way. If you want to add some decimal places in the number, even though the number doesn't have any decimal places, or even though a number has a lot of decimal places, you can decrease the decimal places of the number too. So let's take a look here in this column I, and I'm gonna use equal sign just to code the numbers that I have here to the left, equal sign, and then I'm gonna use the same number. Enter. I'm gonna click here, hold and drag down to in the down right corner of the cell to make sure now all the rows contain the same numbers. I'm gonna select here everything or all the numbers that I have, and then I can go to the Home tab. Here to the right are the 2 that I said before. So for example, decrease decimal places, show fewer decimal places, or actually increase decimal places, show more decimal places for a more precise value. Let's stick with the first option, decrease decimal. I'm going to decrease to 2 decimal places, such as this, for example, like this. Or I can actually increase to 5 decimal places, or so on and so on. You can choose what this option is best for you. It depends on the scenario, right? So for example, 25 now is equal to 25.00. 32.333333, and so on and so on. Now it's equal to 32.33. 70 now is equal to 70.00, and so on and so on. So this is how we can change the decimal places of a number in Excel. If I move on here, this is different than use a function because here we are not actually rounding the number because the 32.33 is what you are seeing. But indeed, this number continues to be equal to this one right here because we are just reading the decimal places. So using a tool in Excel to increase the decimal places or decrease the decimal places, the only thing that we are doing is just write the numbers, okay? Write the decimal places. If you don't want to write the decimal places, but actually round the number up, down, or to an integer, you're gonna need to use the functions that we're gonna talk about here later. But let's stick here now with the second method, that is to use an integer. You can either equal sign round function, you can use a function, or again, you can use Home tab and use these tools right here to increase or decrease the decimal places. I'm gonna use again the tools just to show you that it's possible to maybe not to convert to an integer, but at least display a fractional number as an integer number. Equal sign, I'm going to select this preview value that I have, or actually this one right here to the left. Let's see what's going to happen. Enter. I'm going to drag down, so it's like this. And let's increase the decimal places of these numbers again. Let's see what's going to happen here. Okay, so as you guys can see, just as I said before, these numbers here, where we just change the decimal places, we are using 2 decimal places for all the numbers that we have here. But actually, as I said, if you take a look here, how it's possible that I take this number right here as reference, for 45.33, and actually continues to add some decimal places to it, because it's not converted the number into an integer. It's not let's say read it off the decimal places. No, it's not read it off the decimal places. It's just stop to show you the decimal places. So this is the difference between the two and the function. Okay, but let's continue here and make this display as an integer, show as an integer. I'm gonna click here, Home tab, and then I'm gonna read it off all the decimal places like this. Okay, we're done. Now let's move on here and use some functions that I think it's maybe in most of situations is gonna help you the most. Okay, round function, as the name suggests, equal sign, round. Rounds a number to a specified number of digits. Double click here, 1, 2. What is the number that I'm going to use as the reference? The number that I have here in the average. I'm going to click here, comma. Now the function is asking me here the number of digits that I want to use. If you type it in 0, let's see what's going to happen here. Close parenthesis, enter. Let's click here, drag down to make sure all the rows contain the same function. And as you guys can see, if you use 0 as the criteria of the digits, you can see that you have not any type of decimal places here. So we just have the integer number, 32, 25, 70, and so on. And yes, here actually you have an integer. So actually you have here 32, 70, 45, different than when you use a 2, okay? When you use a function, you are actually rounding the number. You are actually reading off the decimal places. Here, so we just basically rounded the numbers into an integer, but if I double click here in the first cell, instead of using 0 decimal places, I want to use, let's say, 1 decimal places. Enter. Click, hold, and drag down. And let's see what's happened here. And as you guys can see, the numbers that doesn't have any type of decimal places continue with 0 decimal places, but the numbers where you have the decimal places show the decimal places. So here I am using as criteria to just show 1 decimal place, okay? But as you guys can see, there are certain numbers such as 70, 65, there is already an integer, they are not display any decimal places. But if you can see here, there's numbers where the numbers that there is a fractional numbers that is actually showing here some decimal places, and we actually can round the numbers here. So instead of using 1, I'm going to use 0 just to see what's going to happen, and you can make some analysis here. Okay, so let's take this one as reference, 42.5. Why is showing me here 43? Because the round function rounded the number to the nearest number. So if I'm using here 0 decimal places, the nearest number of 42.5 is 43. But I don't think that way. I think that the nearest number of 42.5 is 42, not 43. Okay, maybe I can agree with you, but here in Excel, you always, in the round function, the function is always gonna round up to you, okay? But if you have here, instead of 42.5, you have 42.4, like this. I'm gonna press enter, and as you guys can see, now you have 42 here, okay? So this is how it works. And if you take another example here, for example, this one, 41.66 and so on, you're gonna have as result 42. Okay, always round up. Now the function round up itself, always gonna force the number to round up. Okay, but what is the difference between the round and the round up? Look here, for example. If you, let's change this number right here, 42.4. Okay. Here I got 42 as result in the round function, but if I use the round up function, I'm not gonna have the same result. I'm gonna have here 43 because it's to round up, not to round down. It doesn't matter if the number, let's say, is equal to 41 or 40. 40.1. 40.1 round up is going to be 41. Doesn't matter, okay? And the round down function works in the opposite way. So if you have 40.999 and you round down the number, it's going to be equal to the 40 itself. I know that the 40.999 is almost 41, but you are using the round down. So it's going to round down, okay? Let's take a look. So here now in the round up function, equal sign, round up function, that one here, double click, want you to select. The number that I'm going to use as reference is always going to be the average that I have here to the left. Comma, I want to use 0 decimal places and enter. I'm going to click, hold, and drag down. Now to make sure all the rows contain the same function. And as you guys can see here, for example, 41.6. Oh no, it's actually this one right here, 42.4. And in the round function, we're going to have 42 as result. And in the round up, we're going to have 43. This is the difference, okay? Now let's move on here to the round down function. Equal sign, round down function, this one. Double click to select, 1, 2. The number is this one right here to the left, the average, comma, number of digits. I'm going to use 0, but I can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 100, doesn't matter. I'm going to use 0 and close parentheses, enter, drag down, and that's it. And as you guys can see here, this comparison that we are doing, 42.4 in the round function is going to be 42, in the round up is going to be 43, and in the round down is going to be 42. Now let's move on here to the round multiple in Excel. Equal sign, round, actually this function right here, m round, returns a number rounded to the desired multiple. I'm going to double click here to select 1, 2. The criteria is the same. First, the number, and then comma. Now you can input here the multiple. So let's say I want to return always the multiple of 2. I can type it in here, 2, close parentheses, enter. I can click, hold, and drag down to make sure all the rows contain the same function, and we're done. And you can compare here. 25 is a multiple of 2. I don't know exactly. Okay, you don't need to be good in math. It doesn't matter. Excel knows what he's doing, okay? So 25 is not a multiple of 2. How I know it? Because here in the round multiple function, the m round, Excel's changed the result. Instead of using 25, he's using 26. So indeed, 25 is not a multiple of 2, but 26 is. So this is why I got here 26 as result. Now 32 is a multiple of 2. Let's check here. Yeah, it's the same number. So yeah, it's actually is. If I take here another example, for example, such as 779, this one right here, Excel, the m round function changed to 78. You can actually change the multiple that you are using as criteria. So instead of using 2, you can use 5, for example. Enter. Now I think the numbers is going to maybe change a little bit more. Let's click here and hold the drag down like this. And as you guys can see, as I told you before, for example, right here, 62 is not a multiple of 5, but 60 is. So this is why I got here as a result the number 60. And for example, let's change the number, the average here. I'm going to use maybe 97. 97 is not a multiple of 5. So the round multiple here is going to be what? Maybe 100 or 95. Let's see how the round multiple is going to work. Enter. And it's returned for us 95. Why? Because the 95 is the nearest number to the 97, for example. But instead of using 97, and if I use 97.5 or 97.5, now we are halfway to 195. So the m round function, or the round using a multiple of 5, for example, what's going to happen? It's going to round up or round down. I actually don't know, so let's test here. Enter. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so round up. So two things that we can realize here is the round function, the both round function and round m function, always, if necessary, is going to round the number up, okay? As we just checked through this example that we did here before, 97.5, if you round using multiples of 5, is going to be round as 100. But it can actually could be 95. So this is how we can use round numbers in Excel. through functions and through this inner tool that Excel has. This runner here to increase or decrease the decimal places. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or any suggestions to the next videos, let me know, comment down below, and I see you tomorrow. As every day has a new video, I see you there.